Thank you so much, Siddarth Pai, Mohandas Pai, for joining us today. Today, all of us have money insecurity in this COVID-19. What should we be doing and thinking when it comes to money?
Shraddha, let me say this. All of us should be on survival mode for the near future. Why survival? Because we have to make sure that we get over this crisis. Nobody in the world knows how to get over this crisis because there is no cure for this virus. And this virus could spread if people start moving about. Now, social distancing is the only solution because you have to start a spread. But once people let go, they try moving around, they could come in interaction with people and it could start again. And there is no guarantee. We've seen it happen in Singapore, it's happened in China in a small way, it's happening in other countries. So till we get a cure or we develop a natural immunity, we have to be careful. So this situation could continue. Some kind of lockdown should continue. And next is, even if we have natural immunity, WHO says that it's not very sure whether people are going to stop getting it in future. So it is a very fluid situation. It's a new situation, and there are no easy solutions. So what should you do with money? Now, I would suggest whatever money that you got, make sure it's kept safely. And safely means it is kept in a bank. And bank means it's kept in a AAA rated bank. And two, be very careful when you invest in mutual funds or any other instrument, because you have to evaluate the mutual funds. You cannot take any risk with capital. We are all greedy. We want to take risk with capital, but you cannot take risk with capital because you are on survival mode. This is as good for startups or as good for companies. Some people may feel that I'll invest in the mutual funds, in equity, and I'll make money and I can do some money. Please let it go. I tried that in 1994 in Infi when I put money into the IPO boom. And I remember we lost 2.5 crores and I had to go before the shareholders and give a public apology, never to do it again, and never did it again till 2011 when I left. Even now, Infi is not doing it. And they got more than maybe 30,000 crores in the bank, in bank deposits. Why is that? Because we want safety of capital. So for us, when you're in survival mode, whatever equity you got, safety of capital is very, very necessary as an individual and as a startup. The next important thing is you must make sure that you cut your costs, elongate the need for money, because you may not get any money for the next 2-3 months. You may not get your salary on time because you have to conserve. So you have to cut whatever costs you got. So when you're in survival mode, you can cut costs, remove any discretionary expenditure. As it is, you're logged in, you're working from home, you only have to pay for a Wi-Fi, and you cook at home, and the costs are very less when you cook your own food, right? I pity the restaurants and all this, all the other part of the business, but there's a challenge. And the third important thing is keep your people together. Most important thing is to keep your team together. Don't let go people. This is a crisis time. This shows strength of character. If you have to take painful decision, you must lead by example and take the biggest painful decision. Many of the founders have said, I'll defer my entire compensation. I'll cut my compensation. They're cutting it for others, but they're leading the way. They're leaving off the savings. And they're demonstrating that we're all together. They're communicating to the people and they're working together. And the next thing is use this time productively to reconfigure your business model. Strategize, think what you want to do, how you want to do, how to be sustainable. What has this COVID taught you? COVID has taught you that you must have cash in the bank, unencumbered for the next 18 months at all point of time. That events like this, even though a black sand event could happen. And Shraddha, you know it very well. You've done it all your life. You always made sure you had money in the bank, and every morning and evening you did puja. In the morning you saw your bank balance, did puja. Evening you did the bank balance, did puja, and made sure you kept your money. And that's how you built your company. And that's how we build Infosys. So don't ever think that money is free, money is available off a tree, and you can do what you want and spend gloriously. Don't do that, because you never know what happens. And in future, things are going to be very different. Be frugal on capital, respect capital, and capital reward you in multiples. Because you blow up all the capital, you have to dilute, and you become an employee in a company. You know the Shraddha, because you kept all this money in the bank and you're frugal, you are a standing example of how to run a company with frugality in capital, respect capital. You are quite comfortable today, and you are still got a very large stake in your story. So you call the shot as an entrepreneur, You're not been made you an employee by any of the investors. We are investors too, but you know that you at the end of the day you decide everything. So I think I would say these are the things to do. This will end sooner or later. The sun is going to rise tomorrow, and the sun will set tomorrow. So it will happen, and we must be prepared for that and take advantage.
We will have 100 unicorns. I want to ask you, are you being super ambitious about this belief, or do you really believe that we can do it?
Shradha, let me give you an example. In 1998, I made a presentation in the Indian Institute of Science in a technical seminar to say the Indian IT service industry would have $50 billion of exports by the year 2010. All right? By the year 2010. $50 billion in 1999. At that point of time, there was a retired secretary who said, look at this fellow. They're only $2 billion. He's talking about $50 billion. And, look at this gems and jewelry. They're already $8 billion. They're not talking big numbers. I got very upset. I was much younger, hot blood. So I stood up and said, sir, let me tell you, if India doesn't do it, Indians will do it. And we achieved $50 billion. I mean, it happened. And why did it happen? It happened because they were extraordinary people with a dream who went out and made it happen. Now look at the startup industry. Look at all these great entrepreneurs you've been talking about. You talk to them. Look at the dream. Look at the energy. Look at the passion. Look at what they're doing, finding solutions. It's remarkable. Today, Shradha, we got maybe 50,000 startups. You got to update your report. We got, 34 unicorns, and you are part of that report. And we got $160 billion of value created. We got $60 billion in from 2014. So we have been successful. Now, this is a passing phase. And you also know when he wrote that Bangalore report, we found that 50 to 60 unicorns who could become unicorns by 2025. And I think it's very important to understand that what is happening today is a passing phase. It is not the future. And India is a country constrained by supply, not demand. Supply at a price, because we are a growing economy. In the United States, you could grow 2.5%, that's very large. Europe could grow 1.5%, that's very large because they're saturated. We are not saturated. Our per capita income is only $2,000, even though Bangalore is something like $7,000. So we have a long way to go. We have to build roads, we have to build houses, we have to build infrastructure, everything else. Now you've got these extraordinary people who are working, who are doing well, and so many of them have come up with nothing. But tell me, Shradha, did anybody give you a check to start? Nothing. You had your wits, you had your brains, you worked very hard, and you succeeded. That's what all these people have done. And it's remarkable. We must stand up and salute all these entrepreneurs. And that is what gives me hope. And I am very sure it will happen by 2025. I am very, very sure it will happen. In fact, when Narayan Murthy said that Infosys will be $100 million of revenue by the year 2000 in 1993 at the IPO, I asked him, sir, what gives you confidence? He said, our model says it can happen. And we beat the number 2 times over, right? You have to plan for it. You have to execute. Now, let me say why I'm confident we'll have 100 unicorns. Look at this 34 unicorns. What do you find in them? What are the characteristics? First, they have a good technology and a good business model. They have a good technology, good business model. That means they're fulfilling somebody's need. Second, their customer service and customer outreach is pretty good. Because ultimately, the customer is the only person who pays you, and that's the only money you get. You can't, like somebody who's in London, think that all borrowings is revenue. Borrowing is not revenue. So you've got to be careful. All right? So customer service is very good. Third, they're very good in execution. They're very good in execution. They executed flawlessly. They've grown. They've taken risks, blah, blah, blah. And lastly, all the unicorns have made sure they raise capital at the right time and at the right place and much in advance. So they've been quick to raise capital. They've gone and sold their story to many venture capitalists. And the venture capitalists, either driven by the need to make good investment or the hope of a greater valuation, have given them money. And they made multiple rounds of capital. Now, these are very important things. I was speaking to Aprameya, I must tell you this, and asked him, Taxi for Sure. Taxi for Sure is better technology. I asked him, Aprameya, why did you sell out? He said, sir, what to do? I was building technology and Bhavesh was raising capital. Soon he raised so much of money, I had no hope and I had to sell. Now that is what sustains. Now you see, in this time of need, those people who are raised capital, who kept money in the bank, who got spending power, dry powder, they're the ones doing very well. And those people who are not raised capital have not done very well. Now, like I said, in that Bangalore report, we said 50 to 60 unicorns. What should they do? What should they do in future? First, they must use this opportunity to build a viable business model. Second, improve processes to make sure that your customer service works. Third, use data and analyze what worked, what did not work, and pivot or do whatever it is that you have to do. And fourth, make sure that you build a good team of people by allocating the right duties to people and analyze who can last till you reach $1 billion or whatever it is, and do that. And most of all, draw up a investor relation plan.